So, you're a spry young adventurer at level 1. You're an aspiring warrior ready to take on the world. Except you don't really know what you're doing, or where to go, or how to level, or what perk points are, or what Requiem is. Well, this is the guide for you. Hello everybody, it is Kubits. What is up, my cooties? I am here with a guide video, believe it or not, for Skyrim Requiem. Although my playthroughs will suggest otherwise, I have actually learned quite a bit about this overhaul in the year and a half that I've been playing it. So, if you're here to learn how to structure your character as a warrior, you've probably played Requiem very little, you're not really sure what you should be choosing, you're pretty lost, this is the video for you. Or, if you want to learn some tips that maybe you didn't know before, keep watching. So, at the very beginning, you want to choose your race. That is the very first option that you get. Keep in mind, throughout this video, I will be recommending what is probably best, although you can choose whatever you want. This is just probably the easiest way to go. Nords, Orcs, and Redguards. The reason why is because they have bigger health pools, they have bigger stamina pools, and their basic skills pretty much fit the warrior perk trees the best. As you can see on screen, here's a little guide for you, so if you're curious about the stats of these different races, then you can see. The first one on screen shows the health and the magicka and the stamina pools that you get at first when you're level 1. The second one is focused around the skills that you have that aren't at 5 when you start off at level 1, and I'm just gonna say pause the video at any point if you want to just look at those for reference, but I'm just going to continue onward. Choose from there depending on what you kind of want to focus on. And if you're not sure, then just keep watching and I'll explain some of your options. The moment that you start up your game and you can walk around freely, you want to choose your perks. Requiem gives you 3 perks to begin with. Perks affect your gameplay very, very much. Many skills, such as lockpicking, if you don't have a perk point within the tree at all, you can't even use it. The 3 perks that I would recommend most highly are heavy armor, one-handed, or if you want to do two-handed, that's cool too, and alchemy. You can switch out 2 of these with something depending on how you want your playstyle to be. For example, you can choose light armor. That is a totally viable option. In fact, a lot of times when I play a warrior character, I prefer light armor. It offers a lot more mobility, but you will be killed really, really easily if you make a mistake. And if you don't want to do alchemy, you can choose restoration, although keep in mind that when you start off, you probably won't have enough magicka. Or if you do, you'll have just enough. It really depends on your race, but I'm pretty sure that it takes around 80 to 90 magicka to cast the restoration spell to begin with. In addition to that, heavy armor basically reduces your ability to cast magical abilities. So, chances are when you're starting out, if you want to cast restoration, you're probably going to have to strip down, wave your cooch around in public as you heal yourself. Otherwise, you probably won't even be able to cast it. Luckily though, it does create a healing aura. Healing aura is pretty nice because you don't even have to think about it. You cast it, you leave it, and it just regenerates over time. You don't need to worry about resources or running out of anything. The problem with restoration is that if you're a warrior, you're probably not going to be able to use it in combat. Because 1, your magicka pool might be drained by taking damage anyway. And if you have any amount of armor on, you're probably not going to be able to cast a skill anyway. So I would recommend alchemy. Not only is alchemy something that you can use effectively in combat, not alchemy, you can't craft potions in combat, but you can drink potions during combat that you've made through alchemy. You can restore your health, your stamina, and you can use poisons on enemies, which is actually way more effective than you think it would be. The reasoning behind one-handed or two-handed is when you start out, you're probably not going to be able to one-shot anything really, except for maybe a bunny if you're lucky. When you start to get into a place where you're being attacked by, 3 or 4 wolves at a time, it becomes completely unmanageable, especially if you can't take them out quickly. Each perk that you put into one-handed or two-handed makes your damage go up much, much higher than previously. The reasoning for heavy armor pretty much goes like this. If you put on any heavy armor, then your stamina will be drained unless you have a perk in it. So don't even think about using heavy armor unless you have a perk in it. Like I explained about lockpicking, heavy armor is similar. You can wear the heavy armor, but it's going to drain your stamina over time, and by the time you get in combat, it's going to be gone in a flash. So you're going to want to have a perk in it if you actually want to use any heavy armor at all. Another nice thing about heavy armor is that if you're being shot at by archers, usually it's pretty effective at deflecting that. And if you're getting into close combat confrontation, you're probably going to die in several hits, but it gives you a little bit of time to heal yourself or move away or do something in combat. Whereas if you're using light armor, you're pretty much dead if you get hit or once or twice. So it's much more forgiving in that way. When you start off, pretty much everything is a potential death threat. So I'm going to give you a couple hints as to how to make that a little bit better for you. Alright, so you got your perks, you got your race, now you gotta focus on leveling up so you can actually do things and not get murdered immediately. I'm gonna start with describing what you should probably be doing for your alchemy perk to begin with. Stamina potions and health potions are extremely helpful. When you start off, when you're first leaving Helgen, which is probably what you're doing, unless you're doing alternate start, in which case I suggest starting near Riverwood anyway. When you first start out, you're going to be walking down this path. This whole path has like 1,000,000 flowers on it. You want to pick those up. You want to pick up blue mountain flowers and purple mountain flowers. Purple mountain flowers are stamina flowers. Blue mountain flowers are health flowers. Snag those things up, and then once you have a good amount of those, for health potions, you want to go near the area for Whiterun. Right outside, there will be a couple farms that will have a lot of wheat. You pick that stuff up, and bam, blue mountain flower, wheat, health potion. Stamina potions aren't as easy to make, but in addition to purple mountain flowers, you're probably going to come across a lot of mud crabs. You're going to want to come across a lot of mud crabs because not only do they give you mud crab chitin, which is the stamina secondary component to making a potion, because you need 2 ingredients to make a potion, but also mud crabs are very slow and somewhat harmless, and they're a really great place to train your one-handed or two-handed skill. You can find mud crabs pretty much all along the river near Riverwood. You can find mud crabs near the streams near Whiterun. Generally speaking, they're pretty populated in the Whiterun Riverwood area. So you've got 2 good starter potions. In addition to potions, I highly recommend that you make some food for yourself, specifically stews. Venison and vegetable stew. Both of these consist of items that are pretty easy to find early on. And basically what they do is they restore 1 point of stamina every second for 7,200 seconds. This is really helpful, because not only if you're starting out using heavy armor and you're carrying a lot, it'll make you be able to travel at faster speeds, not have to wait as much, but it also will regain your stamina in combat. Keep in mind you need to eat food before you enter combat, because you can't eat anything while you're in combat. You also can't switch your armor while in combat, so keep that in mind. Other good places to level up are Embershed Mine, which is basically right next to Riverwood, between the Guardian Stones and Riverwood. It's got about 6 enemies in it, 1 enemy out of it, and the 6 enemies are split up by 3s about. So it might not be easy, but it's definitely doable at a low level. There's also a tower that's between Whiterun and Riverwood up on the snowy mountain. It too isn't necessarily easy, but it is doable at a very low level. And of course, if you just explore around Whiterun and Riverwood, you'll probably come across a lot of mud crabs and a lot of wolves, which are also pretty low level enemies. If spending your time on that is extremely boring and you want to have some kind of quest to do, I recommend going to each of the barkeepers and basically just asking them if there's any work to be done. They will answer by handing you a bounty for a bandit someplace. Chances are it's probably not going to be too difficult. Certainly something you can try to do. And once you're leveled up a little bit, then you can probably start a quest line that I recommend most for warriors. The Companion's quest line is pretty freaking easy when you start. There's a lot of walking around, which is great for leveling up your heavy armor because that's essentially how it levels. And you're going to be mostly killing bandits. There is an exception though. There is a quest where you have to fight Draugr, and that is really f***ing hard. So I don't really know what to tell you for that. Make it through somehow. Or try some other things until you're ready. Get some kind of fire staff, and if you have that, then it's probably going to be easier. Honestly, I don't really know what to say, okay? It's really hard, and it took me, like, so much time to do it, and there's a video of it, and it was really hard, but you know what? We did it. We made it work, and I was, like, level 5 or something. Most of the stuff in Requiem you're gonna come across is gonna be really, really f***ing hard. But the truth is that most of the low-level type of things, the things that you just find in the open world, most of those things will definitely be something that you can win at level 1. Even at level 1, if you plan properly, it is possible. Using your environment to your advantage, making sure that you have potions stocked up, a whole bunch of that stuff. It is doable even though it's hard, and when you get it done, it is the most rewarding feeling ever. And if you're not the adventurous type, you can chop wood for a while, selling the chopped wood to a merchant, slowly pushing up your speechcraft, if everything else is really too difficult. Which surely, I guarantee, it won't be as long as you plan ahead. So as long as you plan ahead, you keep in mind that stamina affects how much damage you do. If you have no stamina or very little of it, you will do very little damage. If you're aware of that, if you can use your environment, if you've stocked up on potions, if you go in with a plan, then I guarantee you that all of these places I've shown you are places that you can handle at level 1. So all of that being said, I hope that your first playthrough, second playthrough, third playthrough, 100th playthrough through Requiem, whatever it is extremely enjoyable. If you'd like me to make more of these videos, please let me know and I will do that. And if you want to see how a true master does it, then feel free to check out one of my Requiem Let's Plays or catch me on Twitch where I stream Skyrim every other day or so.